What's going on, friends? My name is Jared Hamilton, and in today's video, I'm going to show you the fastest way to end emotional eating. Now, before we get into all the goods, there are two main reasons why emotional eating is one of the most tactical things you can do immediately for your goals of fat loss. First of all, the biggest reason is if you don't stop emotional eating, you'll never get to where you want to be from a weight loss perspective. I mean, imagine if your goal was to save money, but every time you had a bad day, you emotionally swiped your credit card on Amazon. You could do good for 3-4 days in a row, but then 1 or 2 bad days and you would just undo everything and go mass amounts of debt. So when it comes to weight loss and emotional eating, it's no different. You do good for 3 or 4 days, eating in your calorie deficit, making better decisions, but then boom, you had the bad day at work, and then you just spent the next 3,000 calories in the pantry. And then the second reason why getting on the other side of emotional eating is so important is because you're going to wreck your entire mental and emotional health if you don't. Because the hard reality is emotional eating is just suppressing or numbing or looking for an escape around what you're feeling with food. But the issue is over time, you won't just numb yourself to fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety. But then if you continue to do that for years and years on end, you'll numb yourself to happiness, joy, contentment, and gratitude as well. Numb is numb. We can't pick and choose what we become numb to. It's just all around numb emotionally. Now, before I show you the fastest way to stop emotional eating, we need to get one thing clear and dispel one of the biggest myths around emotional eating. And that's that it's not because you lack willpower. See, most people think the reason they feel uncontrolled when it comes to like emotional eating or stress eating or boredom eating or sad eating or whatever it may be is because they think they're weak. It's because they think that, oh, I don't have enough willpower, or my favorite that every coach online says is, oh, well, your why is not strong enough. And that's all complete bullshit. Because the reality is most people running around on this planet are running from darkness inside of themselves and looking for an escape in something. This escape may be scrolling for hours on TikTok. This escape may be pouring into their kids, being a great mom or dad, but every time something comes up, they just pour into their kids. It may be alcohol or drugs, where every single time that they feel these parts of themselves, fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, whatever, they just go to their substance of choice to numb. Or it could be what I used to struggle with, where I would feel these things inside of me, so I went and achieved a bunch of stuff and started knocking off goals left and right. Or if you're watching this, I'm assuming it's because you do this with food. You feel bad and feel sad or had a bad day, you go to the pantry. Had a breakup, fight with the ex, or you and your partner aren't getting along, so you find ice cream in the freezer. Regardless, we handle all of these the exact same way, and this is the first thing that I do even when I work with someone in my higher level coaching programs. I always say we have to diet from the inside out first before we diet for real. Because if you do not get on the other side of the emotional eating and heal through this thing, you will struggle with the same 10 pounds for the next 10 years, or like most people, until your grave. And I don't want that for you, so I'm really grateful that you're on this video. So the solution and how we end emotional eating as fast as possible is by holding space for what we feel and not running from it. Now, don't worry, I'm going to give you actual tools, the same ones I give my clients, that is going to help with this a lot. So the best way to fix emotional eating, again, regardless if it's anxiety, stress, fear, worry, doubt, lonely, it doesn't matter, is by doing the opposite of what emotional eating does. Emotional eating is an escape. It is suppression or distraction from what you're feeling with food. Whereas the magic solution to all this is become a space of love and acceptance and hold space for what you're feeling. That means when you feel anxious, actually allow yourself to feel anxiety. Or when you're feeling sad, actually allow yourself to feel the sadness and to breathe through it and become a space of love for it, as hard as that is. So now you're probably going, well, Jared, how do I hold space for what I feel? Holding space sounds about as useful as being mindful, and I don't even know what that means. Well, that's okay. So we're going to get into it. One of the first ways I'll have a client hold space for their emotions is by just journaling about what they feel. Because again, what you've been doing, if you're emotional eating, you feel the darkness inside of you, you feel the stuff going on, and you run from it. But what we're going to do is actually sit with it. Now, the idea of sitting with these parts of you that you've always ran from can be a pretty daunting task. So the easiest way that I found for people to do this is just start writing about what you're feeling. It basically tricks your brain into holding space for the feelings. Because the reality is, if we feel all this negative stuff inside of us, like doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, stress, whatever, and we just suppress it and run from it with whatever distraction like emotional eating, number one, you're storing that energy and that trauma inside the body. So it's going to mess with a whole lot of stuff. But then it's also like shoving a beach ball underwater, and then eventually that thing is going to skyrocket up where you're going to have a big breakdown or you become emotionally numb. And I don't want that for you. I would rather you do this work, the same work that I have my most successful clients do. So this way, you know, it's already proven to work and to fix everything, and it'll work the same way for you. So every day, just like brushing your teeth, I want you to just write about what you feel. That's it. In my coaching programs, we actually call this the brain dump journal prompt specifically, because all you're doing is doing a mental and emotional dump on paper. That's it. You're quite literally just going to pull out a cheap notebook or a cheap piece of paper, because you're going to throw it away afterwards, and you are going to write down all the things you feel in excruciating detail and write as if you're writing to a friend. It might look something like this. I'm feeling so bad. Today was the worst day ever. Literally, like, I got up, and as soon as I got up, the day was terrible. Tom yelled at me and I feel really shitty. And then little Timmy is sucking at school. So now I feel like a failure as a mom. And it's just like, I don't even know if my job's going to be there at the end of the week because things are crazy. Don't even get me started on the election. And all you're doing is taking what's in and letting it out. You're not trying to fix it. You're not trying to affirmation your way through this. You are literally just allowing yourself to feel. That's it. Because as corny as it sounds, feeling is healing, and it works every single time. So now this is your strategy every time you feel the urge to emotionally eat. Instead of going to the pantry and suppressing with food, you are going to your notebook and holding space and writing about what you feel in a very therapeutic-like fashion. Now let's play devil's advocate. Let's say you still find your way during the middle of all this messiness to food. You still are creating a new pattern of pausing in auditing what you're feeling before you go to the pantry. And that will change everything. Because then once you really start doing this, what's going to happen is you're going to do this work and start journaling and holding space for your emotions. And then you're going to go, oh, I don't think I want to go to the pantry anymore. And then inadvertently, you're going to start binge eating less. And then when you start binge eating less, that's what I call a calorie fucking deficit. And then you'll start to lose body fat. I am telling you, one of the highest ROI habits when it comes to weight loss, and to make it as effortless and as easy and as simple and sustainable as possible, is start handling your emotional eating and journaling around what you're feeling, because it is just going to stop you from overeating while taking care of and healing through your mental and emotional health. It is a game changer. Like, I'm telling you, like, in my program, there's like a 3-stage process, and we don't do fat loss stuff until stage 2. And in stage 1, I call it dieting from the inside out. This is some of the biggest work that I'll have my clients do, is because if you're still struggling with this inner game stuff, you have no right to go into weight loss, because you're just going to gain it back because this stuff wasn't fixed. Because what this is doing is teaching you and almost like reparenting yourself on how to have regulation around your emotions. Being an emotionally regulated adult is one of the most badass things you can do that will bring so much happiness to your life, and it will transcend everything else in your life. You ever go around someone and they just like feel off? Like, you can tell, like, they may say everything right, their tonality may be great, but something just doesn't feel very good about them, because you know they're high strung, or they're in a bad mood, or they just had a fight with their, their ex or their girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and you can feel it. It's no different here. Because it's like the old saying goes, wherever you go, there you are. And you're going to now show up in your relationships, at your job, with your family, with your partner, with whatever you do, as this more emotionally regulated version of yourself, and everyone else can feel it. So not only are you not hiding your emotions with food, not only are you losing fat effortlessly because you're not eating 3,000 calories every 2 days of pantry food, but now you're also happier and fix the relationship you have with yourself and actually feel more whole, because you're now showing love to all parts of you. And that, my friend, is the fastest way to end emotional eating. If this was helpful, if you like this kind of content, be sure and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you haven't clicked down to the description, I have a lot of cool stuff down there for you that I'll get into really quickly. The very first thing down in the description of this video is what I call the fat loss checklist. It is my actual 5-day mini course on how to make fat loss as streamlined and as simple as possible, so your life doesn't have to suck, and so you don't have to give up your favorite foods just to lose a little bit of weight. I'm telling you, I've had thousands of people go through it, and they are mind blown about the information in there and how you can literally kiss diet culture goodbye. Otherwise, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will talk to you next time.